So today I decided to share with you my updated makeup routine for fall and winter. I'll be sharing some tips that I use to transition my makeup to make it more appropriate for fall, winter, not only aesthetically, but for the weather. And I decided to do this chit-chat style since I haven't done that in a couple of months. I don't really have an allegiance to any specific products for the most part, so I do routinely try new products and rotate out new things. So I'll probably be using a lot of new products today. I have this thing where I cannot for the life of me apply mascara on camera. I think I said this in the last video, but when I apply mascara, I do it like this. Like you'd be looking up my nose. It's not a pretty picture. So I have applied mascara. I just opened a new one actually. It's the L'Oreal Bambi Eye. I don't really like it, so I'm not gonna recommend it to you. For spring, summer, I always use a sunscreen. This is the one I've been using recently, but I don't like I said, no allegiance to any specific product. In the early to mid fall, when sometimes the UV index is a little bit higher being like 3, I will use sunscreens. 1, because I'm very fair, so I burn easily, but 2, because I'm using a retinol right now, I do have an increased propensity to get sun damage. Today, at least, I'm not going outside, so I will not be using sunscreen today, but what I do use, and what is especially important for fall, winter makeup, is moisturizing before I do any sort of foundation or base product on my face. We're gonna get into foundation now. The thing with this specific product is I have 2 colors and neither of them are my perfect shade match, so I mix them together to customize it a bit. And this is very full coverage, so I'm trying not to use too much, but I usually do use too much. A little life update. I've been filming a lot more of my personal videos on my vlog channel. I actually have had that channel since 2021, but I haven't actually routinely started posting there until this year. In terms of content, at least for the last, I'm gonna say like 2 years, I've been really prioritizing short form content. And I decided at the end of 2023 that I actually want to, in terms of content, prioritize long form. I don't like feeling forced to kind of cut down the video, and with short form you kind of are. There were a couple things I wanted to share with you. One, which I think is really interesting and a little bit unexpected for me, is that I've actually started reading a lot more. I used to read a lot in elementary school. I want to say in middle school too, but honestly I can't remember that well. Back when I had free time, I didn't have to worry about homework or grades as much. I used to read a lot in my free time. I didn't have a phone until my freshman year of high school, so there were a limited number of ways that I could actually entertain myself, and so reading was one of my main hobbies at that period of my life. This is the blush I'm going to be using. This is a darker color than I used in my previous makeup tutorial, my spring-summer version. You'll see in a bit, but I'm going to be deepening up the lip color to kind of make it more fall-winter appropriate. And so I'm using a darker blush to match that. Once I was in college, I think I wanted to read, but at that point I had no time. When I switched majors my junior year, I basically I crammed a bunch of courses into a very short period of time. So I definitely didn't have any time toward the later half of college, and by the way, cramming like that is not something I'd recommend. It was a very miserable point in my life. It was a very unenjoyable experience. College overall for me was like a 3 out of 10. I did not enjoy it at all. I use a cream blush for my spring summer look too, just because I think it looks a lot more natural. My skin, even though it's acne prone, it also tends to lean a little bit dry, which is a very confusing combination. I have to apply it a little bit stronger than I actually want it to set, because for some reason blush just disappears so quickly. And I don't think it's the product. It doesn't matter which product I use, it's like blush just disappears off my face. There are some books that I've had recommended to me several times, and that's generally how I decide to start a new book, is if I see it recommended by multiple people. Right now I'm kind of alternating between fiction and nonfiction. I'm not super into fantasy. I kind of like dystopian books. And then for nonfiction, anything that I think can help improve my life. There you go. I am going to use just a little bit of concealer. I think this is the same concealer that I used in my last video. This is the Tarte Cosmetics Shape Tape, and I cleaned my brushes just for you. I actually did read the Harry Potter series when I was younger. Here's what's interesting though, I didn't read it all at once. I started reading the first book, I think I was 7 or 8 at the time. And then I actually stopped reading it, and then I didn't finish the series until I think I was 11. You know what's actually funny? My parents had a photo shoot of me, and there's a picture of me actually holding what I think is the last book, if I'm remembering correctly. And now that I think about it, I think I was actually wearing this exact same hairstyle in that. I was much more into fantasy when I was younger. Obviously, I was not like trying to maximize my productivity or sleep. The wonders of youth, you have no regard for actual real life problems. Apart from the Harry Potter series, I also read the Hunger Games series. I read the Twilight series. There's this series called The One, which I'll get more into because I think everyone kind of knows what Harry Potter and Twilight are about, but The One is a little bit more obscure. Oh, did I read anything else? Oh, I read the Nancy Drew series, which I think is more popular. They're older books. If you don't know, they're basically like mystery novels where the protagonist is solving a variety of different mysteries. And I think, I didn't read that many of them. I think they're all very short books, and there's a series of dozens of these books. I think one of them had something to do with a clock, like there was a clock involved for some reason. Definitely liked the Twilight series the most. I actually remember going to the Breaking Dawn premiere. If you've seen the Twilight movies, there's like this crazy scene in Breaking Dawn Part 2. There's this whole fabricated, essentially war scene, and then it ends up being like, oh, this is a projection of the future and this is not actually what happened. If you've read the Twilight series, you would be like, whoa, this never happened in the books. Like, this is not how it went. I liked Harry Potter, but I grew out of that one very quickly. I'm going to do a little bit of bronzer. This is the same bronzer I used in my last video. This is from Merit. I don't use a lot of powder products. I really avoid powder if I can, just because my face tends to be a bit dry. Blushes and bronzers just last forever, so I just keep using the same product and then I never run out, and it's great. If you don't know what the One series is, I honestly don't know how popular it was because I randomly picked it off a shelf at my library. I read this like 10 years ago, so I'm trying to remember. Everyone in the society is ranked very clearly based on socioeconomic status. So everyone has a number, and the numbers range from 1 to 8. The lower the numbers are on the scale, the higher your socioeconomic status is. So the people who were 1s were basically royalty. So for eyeshadow, I keep it very simple. I have this Natasha Denona palette. There's a color called Skift. So I just use this a little bit on my lids, and I also use it as highlight on my nose. The main character, I think, was a 7. I don't remember what the country is called, but I think it's implied that this is like an alternate United States. In the family of royalties, which is the 1s, there's this tradition where the men basically have to create a raffle system where they randomly select women from across the country and they audition to marry him, basically. They have to go on a bunch of fake dates. I think the premise of this is similar to The Bachelor. Correct me if I'm wrong, like I haven't actually watched that show, but I think it's very similar in concept. So she enters the raffle basically for funsies because her family wants her to. And somehow, of course, she's selected as one of, you know, the millions of people who were entered into this raffle. And I think she ends up telling the prince very quickly, like, hey, I'm not actually interested in marrying you. So if you want me to essentially spy on the other girls to see if I think they're being genuine or I think they're good people, I can let you know and maybe help you out with this whole process. I think she also thinks she's in love with someone from her hometown. And not to spoil the book, I guess I'll just tell you because there's not a high chance that you'll actually read it. Eventually she does fall in love with the prince. I know it's shocking, none of us saw it coming. And then once she falls in love with him, there's this whole internal conflict love triangle thing of she likes the guy from back home, but she also likes the prince. And another problem is that I believe the guy that she's in love with from her hometown is an 8. So it's like the lowest status on the socioeconomic ranking. So if she were to marry him, I think she would also become an 8. And I think she does actually end up being selected out of this bachelor competition thing. And she does end up marrying him. I found my face can't handle a lot of very dark makeup. Some people look very good in it and some people can rock it. I'm not one of those people. Instead of doing like a darker eye, if I want to deepen it a little bit for fall and winter, I deepen the lips a little bit. The goal here is to like deepen it a little bit without it being very dramatic. If you do a smoky eye or you have a darker eye look and you found that it looks too intense, Try darkening the lips instead of the eyes, and you might find that it looks a little bit more soft. I'm gonna do a little bit of the highlighter on my cheekbones, like I said. I've also started wearing press-on nails more recently. Up to this point in my life, I've actually never tried press-on nails. So this is actually my Halloween set. They're like a light pink nail with spider webs on them. For this chapter in my life, I've really only been wearing pink nails, but I decided to switch it up a bit for Halloween. And before this set, I had a black set with a very subtle cat design on it. They were really cute. I actually liked the cats better, but I got bored very quickly. I just thought it would be fun to maybe in each video share what nail set I'm wearing. I really don't do that much for my eyebrows. I think there's a period in time when I would definitely overdo my eyebrows, so I'm really trying not to do that these days. I'm using this Kosas. It's basically just a brow gel. This was actually one of the samples that came from the free Sephora birthday kits of the year thing. By the way, if you don't have an account with Sephora, I would highly recommend getting one because on your birthday month each year, they'll give you a free gift. So this is one of the free gifts from this year. I don't think you even have to spend any money at Sephora to redeem the gift. You just need to have an account with them. Another thing I'm gonna say is if you're gonna do that and you're gonna redeem your free birthday gift, I recommend going at the beginning of your birthday month because the longer you wait, generally speaking, like they'll run out of the good stuff. So you wanna go, like, I would recommend going on, you know, within like the first couple of days of the month if you can. More general life update. I'm about a year out from my college graduation now. And two of my good friends have already had children, which to be honest, I really shouldn't be that shocked about because the majority of my closest friends are like several years older than me, like at least 3 years older than me. So it really shouldn't be that shocking, but for some reason it is. This is the lip color I'm gonna be using. So I would love to be able to do a red lip for this video, but the thing is I've tried probably around 10 red lip colors at this point, and I can't seem to find a red lip color that really works for me. This is the only color that I found actually looks good on me, so I just put a very small amount on. I don't really swipe on the color, I kind of just pat it. I do usually put a clear gloss over my lip colors. I think lip gloss is one of those products where it's like it doesn't matter what brand you use. This is the one I have on hand at this moment. This is the Peach and Lily Collagen Cushion Peptide Lip Balm. It says it's a lip balm, but the application goes on more like a lip gloss. Another thing I wanted to say is I've decided that I want to keep my professional life and my content creation very separate. If you've been watching my content for a long time, you know, like I don't really talk about what high school I go to. I've never talked about what college I go to. I've always kept that portion of my life more private. And originally I did that due to privacy reasons. Like obviously, if I tell you what college I go to, that puts me at a little bit of a risk. I don't think it's a significant risk, but I've always done that just to be safe. And I found that I actually really liked having those two things separate. I started content creation 11 years ago at this point. It was 2013. And I've always found that content creation for me was a creative escape from my life. I found that to be very cathartic for me, and so I would like to continue in that direction. I want my content to be about me and my advice for you in some regards and not about my occupation. That being said, I do think I'm going to be posting a lot more frequently on this channel than I have in the past couple of years. I don't think I will ever have a set posting schedule for this channel. I think in some cases it would lower the quality just because I feel pressured to put something out when I don't think it's ready. And I prioritize the quality of my content over the quantity of my content. So what I've been doing recently is I've been doing an every other video situation where I have one video on my vlog channel, then I post a video here, then I go back, and it's a back and forth sort of thing. And I think not only does it allow me to post frequently on both channels, this channel is a lot more niche than my vlog channel, so I have a lot more creative latitude on my other channel, which I find to be really helpful because sometimes I want to talk about fashion and sometimes I want to talk about something else, and having this setup really allows for that creative liberty. I usually put more blush on towards the end of my makeuping process because blush just wears off so quickly that I have to do final touch-ups at the end. Hi, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm a dude.
Just some dude
Yep.
that came into my apartment.
My apartment.
Your apartment? I thought you were some random dude. This is my apartment. Do you want to show your swords?
It's a 1796 cavalry saber.
Okay, bye. The eyeshadow from the Natasha Denona palette, I usually put a little bit under my eyebrows. The last thing I'm going to be doing is setting spray. So the setting spray that I've been using for the past, I think since March, is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I think I told this story in my last video, but I actually got this at a pop-up in New York. This is more like my full out makeup. Sometimes I just put on mascara and call it a day. And so I've been using this every single time that I do my full out makeup. I'm actually about to run out of storage, so I'm trying to speed run this outro. Products I used will be in the description box. My vlog channel will be in the description box. As always, thank you for watching. And I don't have a posting schedule, so I'll see you when I see you. Now that I've yapped sufficiently, it probably wasn't the smartest to wear white. I think that's the intro.